Good morning. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter.
Present.
DeLong.
Present.
De Silva.
Here.
Edgeworth.
Present.
Flanagan.
Here.
Gallant.
Here.
Goulding.
Here.
Gurr.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Jackson. Karras.
Present.
Kasama. Wynn.
Here.
Chair Considine.
Present, and please mark Assemblymember Kasama absent excused. Welcome to the audience in Carson City. We are having some feed problems with Las Vegas, but welcome if they can come on. And those listening over the internet. I would like to begin with some housekeeping measures. First, everyone please silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Turn the microphone off every time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure that hard copies are available for the members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted to our committee by 9 a.m. yesterday for the committee members. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material presented, but if you have a follow-up question, please flag that for me so that we can ensure to balance our time effectively during the meetings, especially today since we have a pretty busy schedule. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. With that, let's get started. Today we will hear 3 presentations followed by a bill hearing. For our presentations, we will begin with the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs, DNAA, followed by the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony, and we will conclude with the Office of the State Treasurer. After these items, we will hear Assembly Bill 144, which revises provisions relating to Indigenous Peoples Day in Nevada. As you can see, we have several items on the agenda today, and I want to ensure that we get through everyone fairly in a timely manner. For the bill hearing, we will set a 20-minute time limit for each period of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having 2 minutes. To ensure we allow as many people as possible to testify, feel free to say ditto if someone has already covered your testimony. Let's get started. Nevada Department of Native American Affairs. First, we will have Stacy Montooth, Executive Director of DNAA. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stacy Montooth, the Department of Native American Affairs, for the record. I too want to make a disclaimer. I have such important information to share with you today. I'm frequently going to look at my notes. I don't want to miss anything, so I apologize in advance. And I think I might need a little technical help. Yeah, how do I? That's it? This one? Mm-hmm. And to advance it? Okay, I'll probably cut them. Pisha, thank you. So again, I'm Stacy Montooth. I'm a citizen of the Walker River Paiute Nation in Schurz, Nevada, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Department of Native American Affairs. In formal settings like we have this morning, it's always important for us to start with a land acknowledgement, so I'd like to share that with you now. It's on the screen. We begin all formal meetings with acknowledgement that the lands we gather on, the Numa, the Nui, the Nuwuwu, the Washi, and the Pipa-a-Kameve, have lived in the Great Basin since time began. Please join me in offering our deepest respect and gratitude to our 5 major indigenous groups, the Northern Paiute, the Shoshone, the Southern Paiute, the Washoe, and the Mojave, not just the original caretakers of the land that we now call Nevada, but for their enduring stewardship and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Today, the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs reaffirms its commitment to improve the quality of life for our 28 tribal nations, bands, colonies, and the 62,000 plus urban Indians who choose to make Nevada their home. So I quickly want to go through some slides just to tell you about our new agency. My first slide had a bold statement, new department, new name. So we have gone from being the Nevada Indian Commission, which was a division of Nevada Tourism, to a standalone agency, the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs. And that happened on July 1 of this last year. In this slide, you might notice that I'm featured prominently, but I really want to underscore that in Indian country, I don't speak for our tribal leaders. I don't speak for our elders. Today I'm speaking with them, and I want to visually display that by showing you all these other pictures of folks that are instrumental in the work that's done at my department. You might have heard this already, the DNAA's mission. It's to improve the quality of life. Again, 28 federally recognized tribal nations, bands, and colonies. And here you get to look at the official seal of all 20 of our federally recognized tribes. The purpose of our agency, as per statute, is to study matters affecting the social and economic welfare and the well-being of American Indians in Nevada, matters and problems related to Indian affairs, and to federal and state control, responsibilities, policies, operations affecting such Indians. And again, that's in the NRS and has been since 1965. I want to just take you all back. We did the land acknowledgement, but I think it's important to remember this is what the Great Basin looked like in the 1800s. This is a map that we adopted, commandeered, borrowed, that's the word, from the Nevada Department of Education. It shows the traditional indigenous territories of what I refer to as the Big Five, our Western Shoshone, Southern Paiute, Northern Paiute, the Washoe, and then in the green, our relatives from Fort Mojave. I'm guessing all of you are a graduate of a school in the state of Nevada. You all know what happened in 1864. Not only did the territory become a state, but it drastically impacted the first people of this land. Land was for sale in order to explore the wild, wild West. This is a quick glance at what we look like today. In 2025, this map indicates the headquarters, sometimes you might say City Hall, of our 20 federally recognized tribal nations, as well as the Timok bands and the community councils of the Washoe people. Because it's early in the morning, and I do have a background in education, sometimes it's good to get a group to interact with you. So in the next few slides, not only do we get to share some of the most beautiful land in the Great Basin and in the state of Nevada, but I would ask you all, whose indigenous lands are you on? In this slide, we have Cave Rock, which if you've ever had the privilege of seeing beautiful Lake Tahoe, then you've driven right by. The amazing trees down in southern Nevada with our relatives at Fort Mojave, and then the beautiful Stillwater marshes, the Numa homelands. We also have slides with photos from more Numa lands just east of Pyramid Lake. We have the beautiful Nuwu sagebrush featured, as well as this amazing hot springs out in Duck Valley. Some more very common spots that almost all Nevadans know about that absolutely are connected to the first people of this land. Of course, Hidden Cave, the beautiful Stone Mother, and Walker Lake. I was invited here today to give you an overview and to introduce your committee to the work that the Department of Native American Affairs performs. So with that, I'd like to share our priorities. So the most important thing that our staff of 8, soon to be 12, the most important thing that we do every day, we make a concerted effort to cooperate and communicate with our tribal nations and in turn with our state and local governments. We are the conduit between those organizations. In my 5 years as the director of the then Nevada Indian Commission and now the DNAA, non-scientifically, what I heard over and over from our tribal leaders was 4 specific areas that they always prioritized, that being education, employment, health, and economic development. We believe that education is the great equalizer. It's the silver bullet. And through the Department of Native American Affairs, we either drive, support, and sometimes organize these various advocacy groups, organizations, or committees, including the Nevada Indian Education Advisory Committee. Through our statutes, we have authority to create committees. So again, as education is a primary concern of all of our tribal leaders, our elders, and of course of our youth, we work with that committee, the Johnson O'Malley title programs. We have a hand and are very instrumental in the promotion of the Nevada Native American tuition waiver. We have a specific interlocal contract with the Nevada Department of Education, and then we have a civic engagement task force. That is about educating the public rather than what happens in the classrooms and universities. That next priority, Health and Human Services, the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs, we advocate and we help organize food distribution programs on tribal land. The Northern Nevada Food Bank is a great partner to our agency. We have active participation on the Nevada Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Task Force. We support and work with all of our 17 tribal health centers, and I underscore 17 because, as I mentioned earlier, we have 28 tribal communities and just 7 health centers. We support culturally appropriate mental and behavioral health programs. In fact, we have a new staffer starting later this month whose sole focus will be on opioid prevention intervention. We do language preservation and cultural preservation. That actually happens in the last entry on this through our Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum, which is absolutely the jewel of what used to be the site of forced assimilation. If you all haven't been to our Cultural Center and Museum out at the Stewart property, we're maybe 3 miles from where we sit right now, please come and visit us. Another priority is our employment and economic development. Our agency works hand in hand with the Nevada Small Business Development Center, the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. We work really well with the Indian Workforce Development Committee. We participate, have a tribal liaison. Actually, he's called a tribal navigator. Who is represented through Good Jobs of Northern Nevada. And then we try to make the best use of social media that we can. We're always promoting entrepreneurship, all kinds of small businesses as well as tribal businesses, which you probably saw in that last slide. The Las Vegas Paiute Nation owns and operates the largest cannabis storefront on the planet. A third priority, the environment and emergency services. The Nevada Department of Native American Affairs is a signator, a co-stewardship of the state's wildlife prevention plan. We actively participate with the state's Nevada Geographical Names Board. As I did to start our day, we're always advocating for organizations to use land acknowledgements. And as a member of Governor Lombardo's cabinet, I have been assigned to the Natural Resources Subcabinet, which leads me, again, a huge priority of ours is the environment, so it's absolutely appropriate for me to sit in on those meetings. Finally, I just want to share what I consider the biggest milestones for the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs. As we discussed, we've transitioned to our own department. Through this legislative body and with the support of both Governor Lombardo and former Governor Sisolak, my agency was designated $20 million in ARPA funds that were used for a tribal subgrant program. At this moment, we've distributed $10 million of that original $20 million allocation. That money has been divided by our 28 tribal nations. Each receives up to $714,000. Many have amazing programs in place, everything from rolling it into programs that they already had established, such as subdivisions, such as the Owyhee Combined School, to purchasing much-needed safety equipment, police cars, public works equipment, graders, trash trucks. Everyone has been very creative, and thanks to this body and the governor's office, we exercised sovereignty in allowing each of the tribal nations to determine how they wanted to spend that money, rather than the state saying, this has to go to housing, this has to go to education. We continue to refine our consultation policy. Some of you senior members might remember AB 264. We have started with the state trainings that are required in that legislation. We have several tribal liaisons in every Nevada department, and as required by that NRS, we have all the contacts for our tribal liaisons and our tribal leaders posted on our website. One final note, and this is very personal, I want to share with you. I mentioned our cultural center and museum. It really is the heart of the Stewart campus. For 90 years, the federal government used that site to kill the Indian, save the man. There's not a Paiute, a Shoshone, a Washoe people in this entire region who isn't a direct descendant of forced violence. Today, our elders have helped us to convey that story in this beautiful cultural center and museum. You can, depending on what kind of a learner you are, you can read, you can listen, you can look at pictures. We invite you, again, all to come and visit us. And just recently, we hosted the Washoe County School District language classes. Washoe County is one of the school districts in our state that actually offers Great Basin language, and our students, should they choose to go to an NSHE institution, get credit for that as a foreign language. I'd like to say international language credit. To date, we've had over 17,000 visitors at our cultural center and museum, and that's since its public opening in January of 2020. This is my contact information. I would love to hear suggestions, criticisms, compliments for my staff. I also want to ask if anyone has any questions. And I also want to make sure that the record indicates all these amazing individuals and organizations that have a direct hand in helping the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs meet its mission. What questions may I answer?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Committee, do we have any questions? Okay, we have one question from Assembly Member Hunt.
Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to say congratulations on becoming your own entity in government. That's huge. What I wanted to ask is on your sub-grants, say like sometimes people are always saying, well, I have part Indian in me, I want to know, but they don't know the process. Do your sub-grants offer people, offer help with people to find their genealogy, what tribe they're from? Basically, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you for your question.
Early.
Stacy Montooth, Nevada Department of Native American Affairs. For the record, our office fields calls. We invite visitors to come to our agency, and we always have assistance in helping folks who haven't quite connected with their tribal government. Through this grants program, this is a legal binding contract with each federally recognized tribal government. So the plans, the services that are coming out of those individual $714,000 allocations were determined by their respective tribal councils or their governing body. So I can tell you that none of the 28 project plans that we received specifically addressed enrollment. But again, I want to make sure that you are clear that any person around the world can contact our office, either show up in person, call us, hit us up on any of our social media platforms, or leave a message on our website, and we're happy to direct them. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Carter.
Thank you. Yeah, my question's got to do with equity within our state government. Are tribal police covered under the heart and lung regulations that protect peace officers in the rest of our state, basically making heart and lung disease considered an on-the-job injury?
Stacy Montooth, Department of Native American Affairs. For the record, Mr. Assemblyman, I will have to double check with you about that specific concern. Let me share with you that for our 20 federally recognized tribes, we have an array of different models, if you will, when it comes to law enforcement. Some of our tribal nations, I can tell you the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, the Fallon Paiute Shoshone tribe, they actually have an arrangement where they hire and pay for, through their economic development, their own law enforcement agencies, their own officers, if you will, whereas many of our tribal nations, including Duckwater, Duck Valley, Fort McDermott, they rely on the federal government's trust responsibility, and they use officers who have been installed by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So I will certainly investigate that specific concern about health, and take this opportunity to share with you that, again, this month, there will be a new tribal liaison starting in the Department of Public Safety, who is a former police chief at one of our tribal nations, and he'll be the first person I ask that question to. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Flanagan.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to make sure I had a full understanding of the land acknowledgements, and just to hear a little bit more on the types of jobs that people have, or most positions that they're in, or areas of career.
Thank you. Stacy Montooth, for the record. Regarding the land acknowledgements, the idea behind a land acknowledgement is to remind an audience, remind community members where we were pre-1964. We want to remember who was here first, who were the original caretakers of the land. The ideal situation with the land acknowledgement is that it's actually delivered by the highest ranking non-Native person in the room, along with a commitment that not only do we recognize the First People, but we're going to make a commitment to the First People in some measurable way to support what they're advocating for. And in this case, the Department of Native American Affairs, in our land acknowledgement, we always recommit ourselves to improving the quality of life for our tribal citizens and the urban Indians. Does that help? Thank you for your question.
Right, thank you very much. Seeing no other question, thank you for the presentation. Next, we will hear from the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. With us to present today are Mishan Eben, Tribal History Preservation Office Manager, Cultural Resources, and Joel Korotkin, Director of Business Enterprises and Economic Development. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, we're a hot mess up here. Sorry. Good morning, Assembly members. I am Mishan Eben. I manage the Cultural Resource Program, and I'm also the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony.
Yeah, and I'm Joel Korotkin. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony.
So again, Mishan Eben, I just wanted to say that our Chairman Gardapi and several council members are away out of town in Washington, D.C. this week, so they send their regrets for not being here today for Native American Day and addressing you guys. So we have been the chosen two to do that for you all. So we want to talk a little bit about the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. We're going to try to go back 1,000 years. Stacy Montooth did a great job, and we're going to try to go back thousands of years in 15 minutes. So we'll do our best to do that. So as you've seen earlier on the slides with Miss Stacy Montooth, she talked a lot about the 28 tribes and bands that are throughout the state of Nevada. Well, this map kind of it gives us a different view and a point of view in regards to our Native people here in the state of Nevada. In traditional society, we did not have fences, boundaries, and lines and realty. We do know that our Great Basin people were Northern Paiute, Western Shoshone, other tribes, Southern Paiute, and today, as a matter of fact, here in our audience, we do have members throughout the state of Nevada. I can see that this map also shows a lot of the indigenous names. I know that we have some Dosawehe people here. I know that we have some Southern Paiute people that are here today, as well as some Western Shoshone people. All types of our people are here today. I want to bring to you guys that although we may be 28 separate sovereign nations and bands, we are also very related through our languages, through the waterways, through our land, and through, of course, our spirituality. So I do want to acknowledge our relatives that are in the audience today. So I do want to say that we also have, although Stacy did talk about the 28 bands and tribes of Nevada, we are the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, and we're only speaking for our band, well, our tribe today. I myself, managing the Cultural Resource Program and the Tribal Historic Preservation Office, I review, respond, and monitor to environmental impact statements, or also working with archaeologists, working close with the cultural resource inventories, and in archaeology in general. I do the government-to-government consultation with the federal agencies in regards to our cultural resources and what is important to us as the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. As you can see, our past is very important. In Reno, everybody knows where Reno is, Reno, Nevada, Reno Sparks. But before the turn of the century, our people were losing their lands were taken away, and our people started needing jobs, and so they were coming into Reno. want to do a little background, give some historical context of Native people, especially here in Nevada. So in 1890, the Stewart Indian School opens to assimilate children. In 1916, Congress passed an Indian Appropriations Act by Congress, providing several thousands of dollars to buy land for homeless Indians in Nevada. Just think about that. Our people were labeled homeless Indians, and they were to purchase land for non-reservation Nevada Indians. In 1970, 20 acres were purchased by BIA for $6,000 for the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony. We still have that 20 acres today. And then in 1924, I just wanted to put this in there, that Native Americans became U.S. citizens. In 1926, an additional 8 acres purchased for $4,300 for the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony. That makes it 28 acres down at the our downtown area at the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony during this time. And then in 1934, the Indian Reorganization Act, a federal law passed, came about, and that law provided tribes to become sovereign nations and to create their first constitution, and that's when tribal councils started to form. From 1935 to present day, the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony, we have changed our members, and our tribal council has changed our constitution several times. We have to keep up with the growing times and our growing population. And then in 1985, during a congressional act, we received 1,928 acres in Hungry Valley, which is north of Reno, about 20 miles north of Reno. Then in 2016, for another congressional act, we received 13,000 acres in Hungry Valley. And then from 1994 to 2022, we've been purchasing additional lands to expand our downtown reservation and to provide for our economic development throughout the Reno and the Sparks area. And if you guys all know Miss Cheryl Williams that works with the committee, you should ask her about this white house. She'll know that house very well. This is our first, the 20 acres back in the early 1950s and 1960s. Just kind of want to share this with you all. And today, this is the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony, our Hungry Valley area. And then, of course, we have a lot of departments that we serve in our community, but Joel is going to talk about that a little bit more. I just wanted to provide this Tribal Health Center. It's on Quinsley Lane in Reno. We serve not only our Reno-Sparks Indian Colony tribal members, we do serve also the urban population of Native people. This building was created with some cultural elements. If you can see, I'm not sure if my cursor, but the entrance, you can see the hood of the entrance. We're trying to create a cultural aspect to the area instead of our old 1900 Indian Health Services buildings. That hood there is the hood to our cradle board, and inside you'll see a lot of cultural elements that are a part of this Tribal Health Center. This Tribal Health Center, because I forgot to mention, I'm sorry about that, the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony is comprised of Washoe, Paiute, and Shoshone, our members and our descendants. So that's why it's important for me when I introduce myself, but also to acknowledge all of the Washoe, and Paiute, and Shoshone people that are in this room today as our relatives. So these images here are that came from baskets, Washoe, Paiute, and Shoshone baskets on our Tribal Health Center. And then I'm going to let Joel take over.
Yes, thank you. I think at this point where the next slide talks about the tribal government, and it's to point out that we are a sovereign government, and as part of that, it's our obligation to provide services to the people just like any other government. And so we have 28 different tribal departments, and these are just listed as an example, and we employ 371 people, many of whom are members, enrolled members of the tribe and their families. And so as with many governments, we have a court system, we have our police force. Stacy mentioned that we fortunately have the ability through our economic development to be able to employ our own police to enforce the laws on reservation, and that's a wonderful thing. We provide education. We have planning services, just like a planning department that would govern in any case for land use and building purposes. We provide health care, human services, public works department. It's really the panoply of government services we are obligated to provide for our people and their families. And that's what we do, and that's one of the main purposes behind the economic development that you always hear about, the need for economic development, and particularly in Indian country, it provides the ability to provide the services. And if we don't have successful economic development, we rely on the largesse of the federal government and others, and that's not a comfortable place. We prefer to be able to provide for ourselves, and that's what the economic development opportunities do provide. And we have been fortunate to have had the success. The next slide that Mashawn put up shows some of the successful developments that we've had, and the top part of it, I think, provides another important part, that as a part of the community, we strive to do good, to create win-win opportunities. And part of the success of our economic development in the downtown area is the things that it's done for the downtown area. Our Walmart development was the catalyst for the first flood wall to be constructed through Reno. As a result of our need to put a flood wall in place to allow for that development, we worked together with other local agencies to fund and have constructed that section of the flood wall. What's that? Oh, you moved on. Well, okay, we'll move on. That's fine. No, I appreciate sometimes I go a little slower and more detail, but I think the point with this slide is sort of just what I was saying before, is that we're part of the community at large. We are located in the Truckee Meadows and recognize that, and we strive to have positive relationships with the community and to be involved. And these are just examples of the relationships that we have and maintain throughout the city of Reno and Sparks and Washoe County. And along with that, and Michonne's going to pick up here, but we also have a great deal of involvement with federal and state agencies.
Mashawn Eben for the record. Yes, so I want to talk a little bit about the federal and state agencies that we collaborate with, especially in my position. I'm doing the government-to-government consultation with not only the city of Reno and the city of Sparks, but also several federal agencies, the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Forest Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, BLM, several BLM districts, and we're talking we're dialoguing about projects that may impact the cultural resources in the ground, but also the environment. We're talking about working on mitigating any impacts to historic properties throughout the Reno Sparks Indian Colony cultural interest areas. We are also working with the city of Reno and the city of Sparks. We're doing a lot of work within not only our own tribal lands, but outside of our own ancestral lands.
Okay, speaking with you is a great opportunity in general, and it's also important to emphasize our relationship with the state of Nevada. We have had a consistent, warm engagement with the state in many areas, and I'll focus for just a second as an example, again, this Walmart project, because it was a very complicated project that we were able to be successful with because, in many cases, of how we worked with the state. The site was assembled, and I guess this slide's a perfect example. Do we get a cursor? Or can we just show if you look at the upper right quadrant, you'll see that big white building. That's a Walmart located at 2nd Street and the freeway there, and it was a project that took many years to put together for the colony. They assembled the land, purchasing it over a number of different years from different property owners, and were able to assemble the full parcel on which it could be constructed. It had to be cleaned up because it had been an industrial property and there were industrial uses on that property. Well, we were able to do that through the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection. We got a low-interest loan that enabled us to perform the cleanup on that site, which was a wonderful thing. Another engagement with the state was the property to the right. I don't know if you can see on that one. It looks like it still shows, was Nevada Restitution Center. and it was in a state of disrepair, and was closed. But the state still wanted to develop a restitution center or have one in the city of Reno, and so we worked with them and did a land swap where we gave them a corner of property there, which is shown. I can't really point out. It's at the corner of Kitsky and, no, go back. Anyway, so we swapped and took that corner where the restitution center was, and it was torn down and will be a future development of ours. And in return, we constructed a restitution center and handed the keys to the state of Nevada. And the legislature enabled that through legislation that set the stage for that to happen. And so that was a win-win opportunity for the state and for the tribe. And we were very fortunate to have that as we tried to do that. That's just an example. In any of these development projects, there are many things that have to come together, and inevitably it comes back to, and we'll need to work something out with the state or with the city of Reno or with another local agency, and it's through those relationships that we are able to be successful, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate your help when the time comes, and the opportunity to create a win-win situation, which is what that represented. You're really moving me along. Am I?
Past 15.
Oh, well, my apologies, so we'll move along.
Alex is on us.
So, okay, we'll go back to the one before, just let me show, because I think it's important. So when you heard the history about how the federal government purchased 20 acres initially, that's that red portion there, which is where the colony was originally formed and where the people still live today. And then that next purchase is that yellow area, which was the additional 8 acres. And then since that time, we've been able to add properties such as that Walmart parcel. And then if you look up in that left quadrant, that other smaller white building is the health clinic. And so you can see our acquisitions have been to try and connect and unify and expand our presence in the downtown and moving towards the river, which of course is important to the tribe as a people. That river, there are a lot of memories for the people that grew up there, and they engage with that, and it's important. And so that's one of the reasons we move towards that as we expand our footprint downtown. This represents the land that we did acquire in Hungry Valley. The first the square you see, that rectangle in the sort of blue, was the original 1,900 acres, and then with the lands bill in 2016, we received the additional land. With that, we knew we needed to responsibly understand what we had been given and figure out how to use that for the benefit of the colony in the future. And so our planning department has been working to develop a comprehensive plan for both the Hungry Valley property and downtown. And we're looking at our economic development broadening to try to move and diversify our opportunities, because with all of that land out there, we're looking at the need for infrastructure. Before we can develop for ourselves and for our economic development, we need to put in roads. We need to get electricity in a resilient form. It's amazing this close to the city of Reno how frequently we have power outages and don't have consistent electricity and internet out there. And so we're looking at grid resiliency for our electrical power. We're looking at broadband, which the state of Nevada is helping us with, and we're looking forward to it, but we have worked with the state and expect to get more funding to do that. And I think I'm pretty much done, but I do appreciate the opportunity to share with you how important the economic development has been for us to perform our function, and we've worked with the state to make that happen. Thank you. Now, do you want to? No? That's good.
Thank you
We're happy
very
to answer any questions.
Thank you. That was a lot of information in a very short period of time. Thank you. Committee, do we have any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much.
And I apologize for
No
taking
worries.
so much time.
Our next presentation is with the Office of the State Treasurer. With us today online through Zoom is Zach Conine, the State Treasurer, and Kirsten Van Rye, Chief of Staff. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. We are sharing a presentation. I'm Zach Conine, the Nevada State Treasurer, joined today by Kirsten Van Rye, our Chief of Staff, and I believe Eric Jimenez up in Northern Nevada. Maybe there, if you have any really hard questions, you can send them his direction. We were told to be pretty judicious in time, so we will go as quickly as possible. I expect to share no more than 3 to 3.5 hours of Treasury information. We're on the last slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. The State Treasurer has a number of statutory responsibilities. We won't spend too much time here, but if anyone has any questions on any of these items, we are happy to have them. The functional areas of our office, and I'll walk through these quickly, and then, of course, happy to take any questions. The Operation Division, that's the nerve center, that's where the budgets come together, HR happens, et cetera. Cash management, every dollar that comes into or goes out of the state goes through the state treasury. That includes all the federal funds, which has certainly been interesting over the last couple of weeks. But that also means that every time you register your car or every time someone starts a business, those dollars come through us. That also means that anytime someone gets paid by the state of Nevada, those dollars go out through us. So billions of dollars in transactions on a monthly basis, the kind of nerve center of business when it comes to Nevada. In between the time we get the money and the time we spend the money, we invest it. And so that's our investment management division, a group of investment professionals who manage around $10 billion of your all's money. I'll mention here real briefly that the first year that we came into office, that department made about $12 million a year. And last year it made about $400 million, making us, depending on the month, somewhere between the 5th and the 7th largest revenue stream for the state. Our debt management division issues all debt on behalf of the state. So when we borrow money to build something like a road or a bridge or a sewer treatment plant, that comes through us. That also makes us responsible for the state's credit rating, which has increased 3 times in the last 6 years and is currently at Nevada's highest credit rating ever. That allows us to borrow more and pay less for what we borrow. Our college savings division helps Nevadans plan for, save for, and pay for college. That includes programs like the Governor Gwynn Millennium Scholarship, which of course is the largest merit-based scholarship in the state, as well as Nevada's 529 plans, which are like 401ks, but for college, Nevada prepaid tuition, Nevada College Kickstart, our student loan ombudsperson, et cetera. We manage a little bit more than $40 billion of other people's hopes and dreams in our college savings division. That doesn't mean that Nevadans have saved $40 billion for higher education. That, of course, would be a great amount given our population at a little bit over 3 million folks. What it does mean is that our programs are so good that people come from other states to invest with us. We charge them for the privilege, and then, of course, we pass that on to Nevadans. So I should mention the Treasury is one of only a few state agencies that makes money, and not a little bit of money, for the state. Our unclaimed property division helps connect Nevadans with their long-lost property. Sometimes that property is physical goods, like things left in safety deposit boxes. Sometimes that property is, a deposit made on an apartment that never came back, or a refund or business-to-business transaction that never got cashed. Every year we pull in about $75 million worth of unclaimed property and return a little bit more than 40. To date, we've returned hundreds of millions of dollars to Nevadans. Our financial security division is relatively recent. That is the division that holds the Nevada Employee Savings Trust, which will provide individual retirement accounts for all Nevadans who don't receive one through work. Pretty excited about that program. That'll roll out in July of this year. It is also where the Nevada HEAL program, our health equity access program, exists. That's providing up to $120,000 in student loan support for medical professionals in underserved communities. And the first cohort of that is actually open now for the next week or so. For anyone who wants to apply, please check out our website. And finally, the State Infrastructure Bank. State Infrastructure Bank was just a glimmer in our eye a few years back, but now is responsible for the largest housing project in Nevada history, affordable housing project in Nevada history, a number of fire stations, the largest charter school infrastructure and capital project fund, and a number of other great partnerships. Happy to spend more time talking about that if anyone would like. We spent a little bit of time talking about our operations division, so I'm just going to go through these real quick, Chair, and then if anybody has any questions, happy to take them, but you can see kind of this breadth and depth of operations here. Cash management, we talked about. We also manage, of course, in cash management, all merchant services. So all the credit card processing for agencies goes through our office, 398 accounts for 65 agencies. This is the investments division, how it breaks down. General portfolio, which is what you would consider the general fund, not exactly, but close enough for this conversation. It's $9.5 billion. Local government investment pool, which is we basically allow smaller local governments to invest with and through the state. We charge them a very, very small fee, but it allows them to get the sort of economies of scale that, say, a small school district wouldn't be able to do. Permanent School Fund, of course, as you know, is the endowment account for K through 12 education. Prepaid tuition is the dollars that we manage for individuals who have decided to lock in today's rates for college for the future. Invest is another investment program, works similar to local government investment pool, but with a different duration. And of course, our pooled collateral program, which allows state and local governments to be protected in the case of downturn. You can see here in our debt management, some of the things that we are responsible for. And just to talk a little bit about our most recent bond sale, $617 million worth of new money. All the capital improvement, when you see the CIP bill later on, that's generally funded primarily through dollars created through our office through the sale of bonds. What we're excited about is in the most recent few bond sales, we've had more demand than ever before, which speaks to kind of where the state is financially on that front. College savings division, we could spend 10 days talking about this, but that kind of takes you through some of our programs and how large they are. College Kickstart was started by Treasurer Marshall, provides $50 scholarships for every public school kindergartner in Nevada. We have our first cohort of Kickstart individuals who are graduating this year. So that program will finally be getting money out the door, which we're very excited about. Dr. Van Rye to my left is more excited about it than anyone. Our unclaimed property division, as we talked about, money goes in, money goes out, and we've seen just a massive growth in claims. Last year, more than 43,000 claims from Nevadans and Nevada businesses, more than $50 million out the door back to Nevadans. Financial security, as we talked about, our most recent addition from an office department standpoint or division standpoint, talks a little bit about the HEAL program there. Our ABLE program, I should mention, this is something that's been around since about 2015. It allows individuals who have qualified disabilities to save and earn money without threatening the loss of other programs. So those dollars are functionally safe harbored. When we took over in the marketing of this program in 2019, 2020 or so, there were about 150 or 175 accounts in the state. Now there's 3,721. We think this is a wonderful program for the individuals who are able to take advantage of it. And of course, we talked about Nest. Nest will provide that individual retirement account to every Nevadan who doesn't get one through work. That individual retirement account will be able to function both as a emergency savings account and actually allow people to save towards a dignified retirement, even if they don't have access to a program directly through their employer. We talked a little bit about the infrastructure bank, but always happy to talk through some of our specific projects here. Here's a good list of them. I'll point out at the bottom that $1.75 million to the city of West Wendover will allow West Wendover to have a fire station for the first time in the existence of West Wendover. I'm pretty excited about that. That $5.252 million to the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District for the Hidden Valley Fire Station represents the money that they needed to finally get that project over the line. And because the bank was able to come in at a lower interest rate than they were able to find elsewhere, they're actually going to be able to create 2 fire stations using their bonding capacity as opposed to just 1. We consider the infrastructure bank to functionally be the tool to make sure that the pieces of government that don't quite fit into our existing tools and our existing sandbox, we make sure that things get done to help Nevadans. And I guess before I turn over to questions, I'll just end with this. The state treasurer functions as Nevada's chief investment officer. Our goal with investing is to create a little bit more than what we had, right? To try to make sure that we're able to generate and help support the creation of generational wealth for Nevadans. To that end, you'll often see the Treasury involved in things that don't typically fall into the Treasury. Our motto is generally, if not us, who? So sometimes you'll see us lean in because no one else seems to be raising their hand to get the work done that needs to be done. Chair, happy to take questions about literally anything.
Thank you very much, Treasurer. We do have a question. I don't know if it goes beyond the scope of this, but our committee Assembly Member De Silva, please ask.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Treasurer Conine, for that awesome presentation. Very thorough, except for one issue, the Millennium Scholarship. I was wondering if you would be able to send to our committee just an update as to how the scholarship is doing and just some data on it. We get a lot of questions about it from constituents, and I would love to have that information. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Sure, absolutely. And happy to give kind of a little bit of an overview on the Millennium Scholarships. The Millennium Scholarship, as everyone knows, was started in 1999 by Governor Gwynn in order to take advantage of some settlement dollars that were coming in through a master settlement agreement. Functionally, the tobacco companies started paying in money every year as an additional tax on tobacco related products. 40% of that dollar every year goes into the Millennium Scholarship. Over time, two things have happened. Fewer Nevadans smoke as a percentage of Nevadans, and more Nevadans are going to college. Those are generally good things, but they're bad things from the math of the Millennium Scholarship. Over the years, additional dollars have been put in to shore up the Millennium Scholarship, which hasn't changed in its $10,000 per student composition since its inception. And so what has happened is over time, the $7.6 million comes in from the unclaimed property account every year. The money comes in from the master settlement account, and then there's a delta. In any given year, the Millennium Scholarship puts out about $42 to $44 million, depending on the year. And the money that comes in through the master settlement agreement and the unclaimed property transfer is about half of that. So in the interim, what's been happening for the past decade or so, give or take, is appropriations made by the legislature to shore up the Millennium Scholarship. I think it's important to mention Millennium Scholarship is and has been for more than a decade insolvent. If not for the one-time funding put forward by this legislature and legislatures before it, the Millennium Scholarship would cease to exist, and it would cease to exist next year. Okay? So during the last legislative session, about $75 million was appropriated into the Millennium Scholarship, which allowed it to be covered for that biennium and this biennium. The Millennium Scholarship will need additional monies, not in this legislative session, but in the next legislative session, or pretty dramatic adjustments into either whom gets it or how much money it is or how much money is going into it from other sources in order to survive.
Thank you very much for that question and that response. Committee members, any other questions? Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. It's great to hear from the State Treasurer.
Thank you, Chair. Don't forget to check your unclaimed property, everybody. 4 of you have it.
So today is the first bill for this 2025 legislative session for the Government Affairs Committee, and it is also Nevada Tribes Legislative Day. Today we will be hearing AB 144, which revises provisions relating to Indigenous Peoples Day in Nevada. To present this measure, we have Assembly Member Backus. As I mentioned at the start of the meeting, we will set a 20-minute time limit for the periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having 2 minutes. To ensure as many people as possible can testify, please feel free to say ditto if someone has already covered your testimony. Welcome back, Assemblywoman Backus. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, as well as the rest of the hardworking Committee on Government Affairs. I am Shay Backus, representing Assembly District 37 in Clark County. Thank you for the opportunity to present Assembly Bill 144, which revises the date to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as well as to set forth measures for celebration of that day. And I know I watched part of the presentation on Zoom, so you learned a lot of information. So I may repeat some information, but I do believe it's always helpful to understand some of our history of our ancestral lands here in Nevada. Nevada is the ancestral homelands of the Numu, Northern Paiute, the Niue, Western Shoshone, the Nueve, Southern Paiute, and Washishu, the Washoe, and Pipa Aha Maka. And I apologize to our elders who speak Paiute for mispronouncing those names, but the last one was for the Fort Mojave. I do want to express my deepest respect and gratitude to our 5 major indigenous groups who are not only the original caretakers of the land we now call Nevada, but for their enduring stewardship and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Today, Nevada is home to 20 federally recognized tribes comprising of 28 bands and colonies. In addition to our tribal citizens, over 60,000 urban Indians call Nevada home. Indigenous Peoples Day is being celebrated throughout the United States to celebrate the vast contributions of indigenous communities and to recommit respecting tribal sovereignty and self-determination and working to usher a new era of government-to-government relationships. In Nevada, statutory language sets for Indigenous Peoples Day on August 9th, to which celebrations of Indigenous Peoples Day is actually occurring on the second Monday of October, not only in our state, but also around the country. I recall on the last Indigenous Peoples Day, last October, going to my bank, and it was closed in celebration of a federal holiday. As well, on that sign, it provided states' holiday celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. I was a bit confused because Nevada's statutory Indigenous Peoples Day was not in October, rather in August, still on our revised statutes. Thus, this bill will align the date to honor the resilience of our ancestors and to uplift the enduring legacies of Indigenous peoples, their voices, their cultures, and their connections to this land. I know we've all received emails kind of against this bill, thinking that this bill is removing other federal holidays on the books. It doesn't do that. When you simply look at Section 1, you can see it's just correcting a date for celebration. Indigenous Peoples Day isn't just about a day of recognition, it's about placing Indigenous voices at the forefront of decisions that shape the future of the state. It is this deep cultural connection that has shaped the character of the state of Nevada and should be celebrated. This is why I brought AB 144 to align the day celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day throughout the country and to provide a means for such celebration. I will now walk the committee through the sections of the bill. And for a first bill in a committee, this is a nice and short and sweet bill. Subsection 1 of Section 1 provides the change of the day to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day to the second Monday of October. Subsection 2 of Section 1 provides more details for the governor's proclamation to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Specifically, it sets forth that the proclamation must call upon the media, public officials, schools, and other public and private entities to bring attention to the importance of Indigenous communities in our state. Such proclamation will also acknowledge the culture and history and significant contributions and advancements made by Indigenous communities and promote active engagement in activities to support the preservation of the distinctive public lands that are sacred to Indigenous communities in our state. In closing, I would like to thank Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and the members of this committee for hearing this bill today. I ask for your support of Assembly Bill 144, and with that, I stand ready for questions.
Thank you, Assemblymember Backus. Committee members, do we have any questions? Assemblymember De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Chair Backus, for bringing this bill, our first bill, here in this hardest working committee. So just to reiterate, so this language is not going to now remove any other holidays. It's just going to be adding on to the days of observances that we have here in the state, particularly in October, correct?
Thank you, Assemblymember De Silva by and through Chair Considine. You are correct. I just want to make sure it's just changing the date of the current celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day from August 9th to the second Monday in October.
Thank you. Next question is from Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. I actually think I'll have two. Assemblywoman Bacchus, did you say that there was a federal law that established Indigenous Peoples Day?
Shay, and I almost forgot this, Shay Bacchus for the record. Thank you, Assemblymember DeLong by and through Chair Considine. So it is not like a federal statute. It was more of a declaration by the president recognizing this day. And I was trying to look, there's been 2 proclamations and I couldn't find the origination of it.
Thank you. Follow-up, Chair? Thank you. By changing the date of Indigenous People Day from August 9th to the second Monday in October, that creates a precedence where the state's now going to have 2 periods of observance on the same day. Was that thought about in making this change and creating potentially a confusion within the state on what we're observing on a given day?
Thank you, Assemblymember DeLong. Shay Bacchus, Assembly Member for District 37 by and through Chair Considine. I don't think there's any confusion. I think if you look at any calendar, there are a variety of holidays that overlap. And for example, I think last in December, we celebrated both Hanukkah as well as Christmas. And so holidays overlap traditionally on our calendars, and I don't think there would be any confusion.
Chair, if I may, just quickly. Under state law, there are no overlaps. This would be the first time that the state ever decides to have a period of observance that you have 2 of them coinciding on the same day. So in that sense, this is unique and different.
Shay Bacchus for the record. By and through Chair Considine to Assemblymember DeLong. You know, I haven't obsessed on each statutory provision, but I would be happy to do so to look and see if there are overlapping holidays. But I want to stress, I don't think there's any confusion right now. As the exemplar that I gave, when I went to a bank that recognizes federal holidays, the sign outside of the bank that I usually go to when I went the second Monday of October in 2024, it recognized both holidays. And I don't think there was any confusion to the bank other than that fact that Nevada did not have it codified for that day and they kind of jumped ahead. And I think that's just because other states were already recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day alongside that federal holiday.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Flanagan.
My mic didn't stay on. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Assemblymember Shay Bacchus. More of a comment because Assemblymember DeLong's comment about a overlapping holiday in a state space, and I'm not aware either of an overlapping state holiday on the second Monday in October. So I just want for the record to say that I'm not aware that there is an overlapping state holiday, and I do agree that there should be no conflict with having multiple holidays recognized on the same day at a federal, separately, and state level. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. First, we will hear testimony in support of AB 144. Again, testimony will be limited to 2 minutes each. We will start in Carson City. If anyone would like to testify in support, please approach the table.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson, CHRISTI-CABRERAGEORGESON. I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We're here in support of AB 144. Nevada's indigenous community's deep connection to the land continues to inspire stewardship and resilience today. By understanding their history and contributions, we honor the authentic spirit of this land and its people. Recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day celebrates the resilience, culture, and stories of the people who shaped this land. We urge the committee's support. Thank you.
Go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Jejona Witherspoon. That's JIZHONIWITHERSPOON. And I'm a member of the Navajo Nation. And I am testifying today in support of Assembly Bill 144 because when I first moved to Nevada, I knew little about the tribes here and felt alone and isolated from my community. And it wasn't until I walked across UNLV's campus and discovered the Festival of Communities that I finally found a sense of belonging. And through that experience, I learned about the 28 federally recognized tribes in Nevada. And this bill is about making sure that our people feel seen and heard. It acknowledges our presence and raises awareness of its history to often overlooked in textbooks. It also eases the burden on Native people who constantly have to explain their identity in every interaction. By passing this bill, we take an important step towards recognition and understanding. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Alyssa Williams, and I am a proud member of the Navajo Nation. I am here today in strong support of Assembly Bill 144. I'm currently a senior at Laguna College of Art and Design, pursuing a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design. As a Native designer, I am deeply committed to advocating for my community and preserving our history through my work because authentic Native American representation deserves greater visibility, appreciation, and recognition in today's culture. 6 months ago, I would never have imagined standing before you today, or sitting, but I am honored to have this opportunity to speak in support of this legislation. Recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day is not only appropriate, but also an essential act of respect for the original inhabitants of this land. This recognition is a meaningful step towards acknowledging Indigenous history, culture, and contributions. I urge you to support AB 144 and take this important step toward honoring Indigenous communities and people like me. And thank you for your time.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Noé Ampurepecha, and I am the Government Affairs Manager for Make the Road Nevada.
Would you please spell your name?
N-O-E. I don't know if y'all still have the ability to put the accent over the E. I know there's a bill, but there's an accent over the E. Orozco, O-R-O-S-C-O. I am the Government Affairs Manager for Make the Road Nevada, and we stand here in strong support of AB 144. Abiyala, Semenawak, and Turtle Island. These are just some of the few of the indigenous names for what we presently call America. Yet for too many, these names and the histories they represent remain unknown. Our stories have been erased, overlooked, or distorted. This bill is not just a symbolic gesture, it is an opportunity for reflection and celebration. By formally recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day, we encourage a more complete and accurate understanding of our collective histories, and we thank Assemblywoman Backus for bringing this bill forward. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Matilda Miller. I'll spell it out, M-A-T-H-I-L-D-A-M-I-L-L-E-R, Government Relations Director for Native Voters Alliance Nevada, and most importantly, I am Kanakamali. NVAN is in very strong support of Assembly Bill 144. This room and the building today is a testament to what it means to show up for our people. Today, our relatives fill this space, not for ceremony, not for a spectacle, but to demand recognition. Recognition of our people, our elders, and our ancestors. Recognition of the truth. Indigenous Peoples Day belongs on the correct day, not as an afterthought, not as a compromise, but as a rightful acknowledgement of the original stewards of this land since time immemorial. Our history exists whether or not it's in your textbooks. Our contributions have shaped this state long before Nevada was even a name on a map, whether or not they're always acknowledged. And today, this committee has the power to do what it should have done long ago, to honor that truth. We are grateful to Assemblymember Backus for standing with our people. Now the choice is yours. Remember the faces in this room, remember to the voices of our relatives, and do what's right. Land acknowledgements alone are not enough. Recognition without action is meaningless. And now it's time for this committee to prove that its words are more than just gestures. We urge your support. Thank you.
For the record, Mashawn Eben with the Reno Sparks Senate Colony. Earlier in our presentation, we talked about the 1924 when Native Americans became U.S. citizens. It always seems to be a state bill, or it always seems to be a federal law when it's dealing with indigenous people of our own homelands. So now is the time to make this important step in recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. And the Reno Sparks Senate Colony is in full support of AB 144. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Constantine and members of the Government Affairs Committee. And my name is Leonardo Benavides, that's Benavides, on behalf of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, here in support today of AB 144 as we support the efforts of our students. Recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day here in Nevada was led 10 years ago by our UNLV Native American Student Association, and we want to thank them for their efforts in leading the way. At UNLV, we always make a land acknowledgement before any community event recognizing the lands of the Nuwu on which the campus is located. The impact of cultural awareness with having an Indigenous Peoples Day cannot be understated. Initiatives such as these are important to our school as we have a tribal liaison that works with the community, as well as constant programming in and around Indigenous Peoples Month, such as the Festival of Lights that was mentioned earlier. Supporting of Native American students is a top priority for President Whitfield, so we're happy to support AB 144 here today. Thank you.
Chair Considine and members of the committee, my name is Jana Moan, that's Jainamoan, and I'm the External Affairs Director for the Nature Conservancy in Nevada. We support Assembly Bill 144 to revise provisions to Indigenous Peoples Day. We appreciate the direction included in this bill for ways to celebrate the day. Notably, we hear the call to action for nonprofits and other entities to bring attention to the importance of Indigenous communities in the state of Nevada and to promote volunteer stewardship activities that support preservation of lands important to our Indigenous communities. We appreciate your consideration and support for AB 144. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and committee members. My name is Caitlin Gachanyan, CAITLIN, and I'm the Nevada representative for Southwest Energy Efficiency Project. We're proud to support our Indigenous community with AB 144. Ditto to the previous statements. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. My name is Tammy Tiger, TAMMI-TIGER. I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, over 35-year resident of the state of Nevada, and part of the 62,000 plus urban Native Americans who call Nevada home. I'm here in support of AB 144 and wanted to note that over 5 years ago in Southern Nevada, we advocated for the recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day on the second Monday of October. It has been passed by Clark County as a resolution that is observed every single year, not just a proclamation, but a resolution that our largest community in Nevada does recognize Indigenous People Day on the second Monday of October every year. Thank you for Assemblywoman Backus for raising this bill to the floor so that we can correctly acknowledge it within the NRS. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sydney Williams, SYDNEY-WILLIAMS. I'm a member of the Walker River Paiute Tribe in Shures, Nevada. I'm also an intern for Strategies 360, where we represent the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, which you heard from today. We rise in support of this bill to declare the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples Day in Nevada. Indigenous people in Nevada already celebrate on this day with gatherings, feeds, round dances, and other celebrations. This bill would mean that the state of Nevada recognizes an already celebrated holiday by its Indigenous peoples. By passing this bill, Nevada continues to foster a good relationship with its Indigenous communities by simply recognizing something that is already there. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Dr. Arlie Stops, ARLIE-STOPS. I'm a member of the Crow tribe from the state of Montana. I got up here to speak because I'm a little bit different. I'm a high school teacher. Got the day off. I was shocked that we didn't have school yesterday and I traveled and worked. Anyway, the point I'm making is that I started a few years ago. I teach 12th grade English. Prior to teaching at Desert Pines High School in Las Vegas, Nevada, I was an administrator at colleges here in Nevada and New Mexico for something like 30 years. But in teaching, we also looked at the celebration of another holiday in that month. And I have my students read articles on Indigenous Day, on how did this day come to be, what was it before, why do we celebrate this other date, and we discuss it at length, and they have to write an essay for it because I teach honors. Yeah, you do a lot of writing. But I do want to come in support of this bill as well. I want to point out that even in the state of Nevada, where I've been here pretty much 30 years, as well as my children, is that not only are there all of these tribes and individual representatives, there are all of those like us from other states that are members of tribes living within every single day in the state of Nevada. And I believe we support this bill. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. Andrea Martinez for the record, Andrea Martinez. I was not prepared to be in support of a bill, but I do think that Indigenous voices are important, and we are changing the way our world is operating today. And last year, or at the last legislative session, the state of Nevada passed about 10 bills supporting Native people and their tribal nation. So as a Walker River Paiute tribal citizen, I want to state that I am in support of AB 144, and thank you, Shea Backus, for bringing this forward. Pijat.
Good morning, committee. My name is Cal Boone, Calboone. I'm the Tribal Outreach Coordinator for the Secretary of State's office, but I am not speaking on behalf of the office today. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I'm a citizen of the Walker River Paiute tribe, and I want to echo what has already been said. I think a bill like this, it really honors who we are as a people and puts voice to action. When I was a student at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas back in 2018, we faced a lot of challenges with basic recognition. When we tabled at the Moapa Band Paiutes powwow, they said that was the first time the university ever came out to the tribe. Looking at recognition and looking at this bill, again, I want to echo what has been said. I think this is phenomenal, and just want to thank you all for hearing this, and I am in support of it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Augustine Jorquez. My name is spelled Augustin. My last name is spelled Jorquez. And I had spoken with the City of Council, I want to say, or the City of Reno, concerning this matter in 2008, 2009. I had spoken with the Washoe County about that same year, and as I've come, I believe this is probably the third time I've come before legislation concerning the matter. And as a minister, I believe in racial reconciliation. I believe, first of all, I have no qualms, and I believe as we come together, we have nothing against our Italian brothers and sisters, the Italian heritage that has been brought into the United States as they come as migrants, as immigrants to this country. And I want to be very clear of that, as I know that some from the Italian community would respond to this. Yet I want to be also clear that for that second holiday of October, as it represents a man who, even by the Spanish government and the Jesuits, who had voyaged with him on the second voyage, had him arrested for the atrocities that he had committed against the indigenous people of the islands, and not even he himself. And this, and you can Google
I'm
it.
sorry, that's your 2 minutes. If you could please wrap
Okay.
up.
I think then I will say ditto above it all, but I want to bring this to some historical reference and racial reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further testimony in Carson City, AVH, is there anyone prepared to testimony in support on the phone?
Thank you, Chair. To provide testimony in support of AB 144, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Again, please press star 9.
Hello, my name is Shelby Swartz, and I'm the Executive Director of Battlefield Progress. We wholeheartedly support AB 144 to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day in Nevada. This is more than just a symbolic gesture. It is a long overdue acknowledgement of the rich histories, cultures, and invaluable contributions of the Indigenous community here in our state. From their stewardship of our lands to their enduring cultural and societal influences, Indigenous peoples have always shaped Nevada in profound ways. As we strive for a more just and inclusive future for our state, we must honor and respect the original stewards of these lands. This recognition is a step toward truth healing and a future built on respect and understanding. Thank you to Assemblymember Backus for championing this important legislation, and thank you to the chair and committee.
AVH, do we have any other people on the phone in support?
Hello. Hello, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Carla Sanchez, K-A-R-L-A-S-A-N-C-H-E-Z, and I am testifying in support of AB 144 today because my daughter is a member of the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe. I want her to grow up knowing her history is being honored and celebrated. Too often, Native history is overlooked and only taught through a lens of tragedy and loss. While it is important to acknowledge the painful past, it is just as important to uplift Native resilience, culture, and contributions. Recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day is a step towards ensuring that Native communities are seen, valued, and respected. I urge you to support AB 144. Thank you. Hi, good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Melody Judilla. It's spelled MELODYJUDILA, and I'm Deputy Director of Silver State Voices. I'm calling in support of this bill and dittoing all previous sentiments. Thank you.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support at this time.
All right, thank you. Next, we will move to testimony in opposition. We will start here in Carson City. Please approach the table and begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state president of Nevada Families for Freedom. I first want to say that I have a deep respect for our Native Americans and a very great love for them. I don't oppose an Indigenous Peoples Day, but when you put it on Columbus Day, you essentially erase Columbus Day. Even the sponsor never mentioned Columbus Day in her testimony. Columbus Day was first celebrated in 1792 on the 300th anniversary of Columbus's first voyage. In 1934, Franklin Roosevelt signed into law Columbus Day. And in 1971, Columbus Day became a federal holiday in all 50 states. Columbus Day is the only day which the nation recognizes the heritage of almost 26 million Italian Americans. I thought it was interesting as I was researching this that I found that Columbus was actually born on October 31st, because that, of course, is Nevada's day that they entered the Union, and it's also my birthday, so that was kind of fun. I would say that Columbus is seen as a very important icon to Italian American community. The American dream would not be possible without Columbus's bravery and courage. Celebrating Columbus Day was and continues to be a way of saying, we are proud to be Americans and equally proud of our Italian heritage and ancestry. Columbus Day celebrates the beginning of the cultural exchange between America and Europe. Immigrants who brought their art, music, science, and helped include Greek democracy, Roman law, Judeo-Christian ethics, and the tenet that all men are created equal. We don't oppose having an Indigenous Peoples Day, but when you put it on Columbus Day, you essentially erase all of that heritage of America. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Bob Russo for the record. I want to make it clear from the get-go that my opposition to AB 144 is in no way intended to show disrespect to the indigenous people and culture in Nevada. Nonetheless, I feel that as Americans, and we are all Americans, it is important to honor our common history and heritage, the good and the bad, by honoring Columbus Day as its own day. And as a fully American of an Italian descent, you can tell by my name I'm Italian. All my grandparents came from Italy. I also view Columbus Day as recognition of the numerous Italian immigrants that helped build this state. And like so many Italian immigrants, they came to this country with basically nothing, with a few dollars in their pockets and the few clothes that they brought with them. They came here to build a better life for themselves and for future generations. And I have benefited from what they did personally. I'm second generation. Now, as far as Nevada is concerned, many of you probably know this already, they worked on the Transcontinental Railroad. They contributed and built industries in Nevada, including ranching, lumber, home construction, infrastructure construction, financial, gaming, and the food industry. They brought a sense of community to our cities, including Reno. You know, you've all been into an Italian deli. You know what that's like. We all love going into an Italian deli. I could go on. They've contributed to the arts, sports. We've got guys like Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, Franco Harris, music, Sinatra, Dean Martin. I can go on and on. You understand what I'm trying to say. But the bottom line is I think we need to honor the indigenous peoples. We need to honor Columbus Day. We need to keep them separate so they can get the full recognition that they each deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City who wishes to provide testimony in opposition? Okay. AVH, do we have any testimony in opposition on the phone?
To provide testimony in opposition of AB 144, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Again, please press star 9.
Good morning. This is Lynn Chapman, and I'm Independent American Party. You know, it's a wonderful thing to celebrate different people from different cultures, to learn and to share. That being said, why would we as a state want to dismiss other people's culture and history? We should not. We have a day that is celebrated as Indigenous Peoples Day. That's August 9th. We should share and we should learn and we should shine a light on their culture and their people. But to have chosen another day to celebrate that erases and dismisses another people's day of culture and celebration is the wrong thing to do. There are over 26 million Italians in America, and many live here in Nevada, as you've just heard. Let's not dismiss or erase other cultures. Let's leave Columbus Day as the second Monday in October, as it has been since October 12th, 1792. And let's show respect to other cultures and other peoples. Thank you.
Chair, we have no additional callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you, AVH. Next, if there's anyone willing to testify neutral on this bill, we'll start in Carson City. Is there anyone in Carson City who would like to testify in neutral? Please step forward. Seeing no one, AVH, is there anyone on the line willing to test in neutral?
Chair, the public line is open and working. We have no callers for neutral at this time.
Thank you. And finally, if the sponsor would like to come forward to provide any remarks.
Thank you so much. Normally I would waive closing remarks, but I did a little research in my meantime. But one thing I missed when I was up here, and I think a lot of our newer members may not know, I'm also a citizen of Cherokee. I spent my summers on my grandparents' ranch in Oklahoma. This bill is important. I really enjoy all of the history that I've learned about our indigenous communities here in Nevada, and educators, other people in our community always ask about us highlighting this so that people understand the history. This bill definitely does not erase Columbus Day. It's not repealing anything, but I was challenged if there was other state holidays that were celebrated. And last session, we passed Esports Day, which was for the last Saturday in October. So Esports Day sometimes will overlap with Nevada's birthday, October 31st. It will also, I guess now I learned today that it overlaps Columbus's birthday as well as Janine Hansen's birthday. And I don't know if anyone, I don't want to make light of it, but I was challenged, and I take challenges very seriously. And I obsessed on the Nevada statute to come up with a Nevada state holiday that overlaps. So that's not the whole point of this bill, though. This bill is let's align when Indigenous Peoples Day is truly celebrated. I'm standing at events the second day in October down south. Banks recognize it. Let's just put the law in the books to be consistent with what the holiday is being celebrated. With that, I urge you to support AB 144.
Thank you, Assemblymember Backus. Thank you for those who testified in support and opposition, and I will be closing the hearing on AB 144. We will now move to public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. As a reminder, members of the, instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 886-0801-7698, and then press pound when prompted for the participant ID. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide testimony. You may also submit written public comment to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City?
Madam Chair, thank you. Janine Hansen, Nevada Families for Freedom. This wasn't posted until yesterday. With that short of a posting, it makes it hard for others who want to participate in the process that you have here, which I think is wonderful, and I appreciate the process. It makes it very difficult for them to be aware of when the hearing is, what the bill is, etc. So I would really appreciate it if in the future we'd have a little more notice. I know that a lot of times that isn't possible. I've been here longer than any of you, so I understand that process, but I really, in order to encourage democracy and people participating, it's a lot easier if we just have a little more notice. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment here in Carson City? Please state and spell your name. You have 2 minutes.
Once again, good morning. My name is Augustin Jorquez, spelled AUGUSTINJORQUEZ. And I just want to thank the Nevada Indian Commission for their reports and the Reno Sparks Indian Colony for their reports. I also wanted to share within the assembly here that with the conjunction of many community members over in Carson City, we are in the process of bringing restoration to the Stewart Community Church, in which many of the tribal community members have had weddings and funerals, and we're doing a beautiful restoration work there, and it's open for services, and it's open for community events, as I not only speak to you, but I speak to those that are behind me. Yet there's a book called The Inconvenient Indian that I'm currently reading, one of many books written by a well-known author, and at times us Indian folks, as Columbus referred us to, because he wasn't quite sure where he was at, now was he? However, we're not here to be an inconvenience, and it's not our purpose to be annoying. But keep in mind, from our mindset, where we're at. And thank you, and many blessings on you.
Thank you. Please say and spell your name. You have 2 minutes.
I don't want to be annoying either. Again, as Dr. Arlie stops, I want to speak neutral or in favor of this bill, as I spoke earlier.
I apologize. The hearing on the bill is closed. If you would like to make public comment, you may. If you would like to submit written comment on AB 444, you may.
Okay, it's not public comment on, boom, my bad. Thank you very much.
It's public comment on anything general, just not specific to the bill.
I'll leave it be. Thank you.
AVH, is there anyone on the phone line for public comment?
Chair, the public line is open and working. We have no callers for public comment at this time.
AVH, is there a caller on the line?
Chair, the public line is open and working. We have no callers for public comment at this time.
Thank you so much. Please go ahead, state your name and spell your name. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Aspen, A-S-P-E-N, Murillo, M-U-R-I-L-L-O. And I just want to say that in reference to the Italian culture here in Nevada, I think, as mentioned, there are many other individuals and other ways that we can celebrate that culture that is more relevant to Nevada than the genocide of indigenous peoples. Thank you.
Okay, I will close public comment. Thank you so much for your attention today and for your attendance. The next meeting will be Wednesday, February 12th at 8 a.m. That concludes our meeting for today. The meeting is adjourned.